Hey, podcasters, this is Todd Dantzler. Today's episode is going to be with Christiaan Abbott, the cruise director for Disney Cruises. We talk about all things cruising, all things Disney, how they approach cruising, how they approach the guest services. He gives us behind-the-scenes action of how to approach your cruise and some of the fun things about it. So I think you'll enjoy today's episode. I hope you'll listen in. Hey everybody, welcome back to Todd's podcast. We have a fun episode today. Our guest is Christiaan Abbott. Christiaan is the creative director and director of entertainment for Disney Cruise Line. He comes from a career of entertainment and being entertaining. He started his professional dancing career at the age of 15, and he did ballet, modern dance, from local dance companies to multi-million-dollar Las Vegas productions, as well as tours, cruise ships, theme parks, and the like. He's experienced all kinds of theater and productions. He's danced for award-winning choreographers like Arlene Phillips, Anthony Van Last, and Jerry Jackson. And he's also entertained with celebrities such as Jay Leno, David Letterman, Wayne Brady, Michael Crawford, and David Cassidy. After his dance career ended, he became a stage manager and then got into the cruise business as a cruise director for Disney Cruises. He also has hosted his own podcast called In the Holding Room, and he's done that in a partnership with PerformerStuff.com weekly on talking with Broadway and West End professionals. I'm not sure what a West End professional is at, but in entertainment, are they primarily dancers or?
West End is London's version of Broadway.
Got it. So he's also has had a podcast, Intellect and Wit, A Gentleman's Guide to Knowing a Little Bit About Everything. And this podcast, it was bite-sized chunks of his two books, A Gentleman's Guide to Knowing a Little Bit About Everything, Volume 1 and 2. So experienced podcaster, author, dancer, entertainer. He's authored another book called Backstage to Boardroom, Applying Theatrical Insights into Everyday Leadership, and we'll talk a little bit about that. He founded a coffee company called Entraque. Entraque, sorry.
Coffee company. No, that's all right.
Sorry. I had 2 years of Latin in high school and no French, so I apologize. It's a theater-based coffee company, but he put it on hold when he returned to the sea for Disney Cruise Lines. And his life is now he works 10 weeks on and 10 weeks off. The 10 weeks that he's off the Disney cruise ships is when he gets to be home enjoying his life with his two incredible boys and amazing wife. He's on the board of the Lakeland Symphony Orchestra, and also the Lakeland Community Theater. So without any further ado, Christiaan, thank you for coming. Welcome to Todd's podcast. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too.
And I hope I did you justice with that introduction.
That was incredible, yeah.
Some of the words were a little too advanced for me, but Sarah was working with me with the name of your coffee company, and she wasn't helping me much either. So sorry we butchered that.
No, please, it's fine. It's all in fun.
And I mentioned the first question coming out as you were walking up our stairs that you've got, a huge fan as one of our staff members, and Sarah Falsetti, whose episode is out a couple weeks ago. She's the one who introduced us, and she said, you should have Christiaan on. He's great. He's entertaining, and he does all these things with Disney. And I've never been on a cruise in my life. My daughter just got back from one a few weeks ago on a Disney cruise and had a ball. But you did get a chance to say hello to Sarah when you came up, so she's very happy about that.
Well, you got a great person working for you.
Yeah, we think so. So in your life, you've worn an awful lot of hats. You've got an extensive dance career, stand-up comedian. I assume dance is your first love. Is that what you've always done, always wanted to do?
Yeah, it really was. I grew up on MGM musicals. My mother and father loved those movies. Gene Kelly, Fred Astaire. Those were always on in the house, and I thought it was pretty awesome. And a young lady in my 5th grade class told me about the dance studio she was going to. And I wanted to hang out with her a little bit more. So
in 5th grade, I'm impressed.
5th grade. So when I was 10 years old, I went to a dance studio to take dance class and maybe hang out with her a little bit. And I did fall in love with dance, and dance became my career, and it became just what I set every goal against. So that's how I made my living. And I began performing at the age of 15 professionally. I had worked in community theaters and school shows before that, but at 15 I got my first professional gig, and
never looked back.
The bug bit me, and I never looked back.
You mentioned that it was on at your household, the dancing, and those motion pictures were on the background. Were your parents entertainers, or did they like to dance, or that was just the form of entertainment that they enjoyed personally?
Yeah, that's what they enjoyed. My father is a retired colonel from the Air Force. My mother was in pediatrics in the Air Force. Their parents were in the military. My brother went off to the military, and all of a sudden they got this kid who wants to dance, and they're like, "What do we do with this guy?
Let him dance.
Let him dance." Yeah, and I am truly blessed as a man, as a boy who wanted to dance, to have a colonel in the Air Force drive me to ballet class. And even my father even volunteered at the dance studios so that we could get a discount on my classes because of how many I wanted to take.
Right.
And I have worked with a lot of men in this industry who did not get that kind of support from their fathers, from their families, that they had the son that wanted to dance for a living. But I'm very grateful that they pushed me and helped me out.
So you said you started to dance in the 5th grade and you were about 10, then you started professionally getting paid a few bucks at 15. So in 5 years, through all this effort that your parents put into your dance career and, your hobby, which has turned into your life, you were able to get that good. How intense is it for a kid that's 10 to 15 years old to have to study? And I guess it's like any sport. If you're going to be good, you got to bust your rear end and you got to put in the extra hours. And
exactly right. The amount of athleticism involved in dancing and gymnastics, which I also did, which gave me a leg up, that I could tumble and flip around the stage. And I'm going to be honest, I wasn't half as talented as a lot of the women that I was working with. But men, boys, they don't come around very often.
Right.
So, it's a little.
Here's someone with talent.
Yeah, here's a guy that can dance. Let's put him in our show because we don't have a lot of guys that can dance. Right. So once you get up the ranks into big professional theater, then of course there's a lot of competition. But when you start locally at local, dinner theaters and local theaters, young boys, men trying to dance. Yeah. So I benefited from being a guy.
So the son of in a military family, did you move all over, or were you able to settle down somewhere?
No, we bounced around every year or two. I was in a new school, new city, new state. So
how hard was it to find dancing programs for a young boy? Are they everywhere?
They're everywhere.
So it's not that hard to find something?
No, every town has a local dance studio. Some are better than others. So you kind of do a little research and find out, who's pumping out talent and who's, just in it for the money or what have you. So all the local dance studios. The city of Lakeland has some fantastic dance studios that are turning out top talent.
What was your most favorite place to live before you got married and settled? When you were when your family's in the military and you moved around, where did you enjoy living the most?
So I lived on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Fairborn, Ohio, and the big city near that was Dayton, Ohio. And I loved Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, a small town, and it was predominantly known for NCR, National Cash Register, is the big employer there. And funnily enough, the city of Dayton has more patents in it than any other city. But this small little town, they have a symphony, they have an orchestra, they have a professional theater, they have a ballet company, they have a modern company, they have all of this support for the arts. And I had joined a program called Muse Machine in Dayton, Ohio, and they took middle school and high school age kids after school for visual and performing arts. But they brought in world-class talent to train these kids to come. And so working with real professionals who had Broadway credits and national tour credits and television and movie credits, some of the staff there were like, hey, you seem to be here a lot. You seem to really want to do this.
Yeah.
Is this something you're up on?
Yeah, you're not getting punished by coming here from your mom and dad.
Yeah. And so, they talked to me and they talked to my mom and dad and said, if Christian really wants to do this,
he's got some skills.
Yeah, he's got some skills, and here's what you need to start thinking about. And this is how you get to that place that he wants to go. So I owe a lot to the Muse Machine after school program in Dayton, Ohio. But it was a beautiful town, small town. But
Is
big enough.
Dayton about the size of Lakeland? Is it about the size of Tampa?
No, I would say Lakeland.
Lakeland?
Yeah, because it's a suburb of Cincinnati.
Okay.
It was about an hour north of Cincinnati. But I would say it's very comparable to Lakeland.
Wasn't Buck McLaughlin one of our guests Colonel McLaughlin, didn't he grow up in Dayton? I thought that might have been the airport that he escaped to. And
You're really testing my memory right now.
well,
Todd.
you got the youngest memory in the room, Eli, so I figured if anyone could remember, it was you. But for some reason, I think Buck might have been, when his family was there and he snuck over the airport. They didn't have an air show or anything, did
Oh,
they?
yeah, they sure do. They have one of the
Buck.
greatest air museums.
Yeah.
I mean, the SR-71 is there. The XB-70 is there. I lived on the base during Desert Storm.
Right.
And so the flights and the planes that come through Wright-Patterson Air Force Base are, you got the big planes coming through there. So if he was a pilot in that area, then...
Well, he was a kid, but then he became a pilot. He flew the 117 Nighthawk.
Oh, that's right.
And then he flew A-10 Warthogs, and his last stop was Avon Park Bombing Range, where he's commander down there. Mm-hmm. And now he is a civilian liaison with local communities. And I'm not positive that Dayton is where he was. We'll check on that. But he's a wonderful guest. Two, he's a wonderful man and a great representative of the Air Force. And the podcast was a whole lot of fun because we talked flying. We talked about Avon Park and some of the cool places that he's been. And he was wonderful. You also did some time as a stand-up comedian. How was that? Were you any good?
I was okay. I spent a lot more time in improvisational comedy. We created Sin City Cynics in Las Vegas, and Michael Hawley and I performed improvisational comedy, but we also taught improv comedy to Las Vegas headliners. So we had a lot of magicians and comedians in our class because they wanted to better understand how to interact with volunteers when they were doing a magic trick. So we had some great headliners in our class. But as a stand-up comic, there is no bigger adrenaline rush. There is no bigger way of exposing yourself.
You've got no one else to put the blame on if you bomb.
No one else.
If you bomb, it's your bomb.
Yeah, and so it is fascinating. It is a wonderful study of yourself.
Right.
And I would highly recommend anybody that wants to do any form of public speaking to hit an open mic night. And maybe your goal isn't to be hilarious. Just make it your goal to talk for 5 minutes about yourself and just be entertaining.
Yeah.
Not necessarily get a big laugh, but the amount of time that you need to dissect yourself, to put yourself out there and to have the courage to be that vulnerable, to stand on stage and entertain people just for 5 minutes, I think will provide you with a lot of insight into what you're capable of, because there's nothing like it.
Did you write your own material? Yeah. Did you talk about observational humor, crowd work? What kind of?
Yeah, I was very observational humor. I did a lot of self-deprecating humor. I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of making fun of myself because, or making fun of situations that people are familiar with.
I think it draws the crowd in and makes you a little more vulnerable to them. And they say, okay, I can hang out with this guy.
Yeah.
I can spend 25, 30 minutes with him.
Right. Makes you relatable. And, there's nothing better than when somebody would talk to me and say, oh, me too. Yeah. I did that too. I'm like, great. That's.
I'm not the only idiot out here who did that. Were you a class clown growing up to think you could do a comedy, or like you just said, I felt like this was just part of my entertainment development to the total package of who you became?
That's a great question, and that's exactly how I took it. I took it as part of my development. I did dream of, hey, what if, I am the next Seinfeld or whatever, but it was really a part of my development as an actor, as a performer, as a public speaker. I wanted just to get that under my belt and spend some time understanding who I am, what my voice was, and what my humor was. I wasn't a class clown, but I was a class entertainer. Yeah. I was always dancing around. I was, doing gymnastics down the hallway.
Because you could.
Because I could.
Because you were 10 years old and you were exceptional talent, and your parents were putting you through school.
Even in junior high and high school, I was the first male cheerleader at Fairborn High School. And it was because I could tumble. I didn't end up ever actually cheering a game, but I did go through the audition process and they accepted me as a male cheerleader, but I didn't end up doing it. But I loved doing that stuff.
You had to have 10 girlfriends at a time.
I didn't do too bad, So, I played sports too.
Yeah.
I played baseball and I played football. And my sophomore year, it was the summer before school started, but the football team was already started to get going. We were already starting to get into practice, and I fell and I hurt my arm. And I was like, what am I doing here? I know what I love. And I would rather go hang out with 25 girls right now than these 40 guys. And so I got like 3 games into my sophomore year, and I was like, I think I'm done with this. I'm going to go full time into dance and just concentrate on that.
So you've just met Eli. He's the most eligible bachelor in all of Polk County. So Eli, you better start dusting off your dancing shoes. And,
taking notes over here.
I'm gonna say Christian's giving you the glide path.
There are some adult ballet classes here in Lakeland that is a great.
I heard Sarah was actually telling me she's taking some.
Yeah.
So
Our Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
See?
Well, maybe you could be your dance partner out there, and
you don't want to see me dancing, to be honest.
I would actually show up for that recital. That would be good.
Yeah, but taking some ballroom dance classes, learn to be a little graceful, learn to be more confident, get to hold somebody in your arms for a while.
There you
Not
go.
a bad gig.
There are worse things to do. So, Todd's podcast is sponsored in part by Saunders Real Estate, your trusted partner in land and commercial real estate since 1996. With over 125 expert advisors located throughout the Southeast United States, the full-service brokerage specializes in a wide range of property types from farms and ranches to commercial buildings and development land. If you're looking to build your legacy with a confident investment, please visit SaundersRealEstate.com or call 877-518-5263 to connect with an advisor today. Let's get into the cruise business because that's kind of why you're here. I want to talk a little bit about your background, your dance, and your entertainment. What is it you do on the cruise ship? What is your title, and who works for you, and what's the hierarchy when you go out to sea?
Sure. So I am the cruise director on board the Disney ships when I go out there. And so I oversee all the entertainment. So I have a couple of jobs, pretty interesting. So I am the face and voice of the ship that I'm on as cruise director. So I have a TV show on the ship. I make announcements over the PA system. I introduce all of the acts and all of the shows and give the guests the information that they need to have the most successful cruise possible. Let them know all of the options and everything that's available so they can plan their days and plan their cruises and have the most fun possible. And I oversee all the entertainment. So on the Disney Wish, which I am currently on or assigned to, I have a team of 220 entertainers. I have all the singers and dancers like you would imagine. I have all the technicians that support all of those performances in the theater. I have a bunch of broadcast technicians who oversee all of our movies and TVs and things that we do. And then the costuming technicians as well. We have like 12,000 costume pieces on board the Disney Wish.
How many seamstresses do you have to have? So with 12,000 costumes, they got to break from time to time.
Yeah.
And maybe everyone knows how to sew on a button, but
no. So we have a team of 4 costumers on board the ship. But that's the thing is the principal of the show, we'll say the woman who plays Elsa, she has her costume, but then she has her second costume in case something breaks. And then her understudy has that costume, and her understudy has that second costume in case hers breaks. So,
and because they're different sizes, they probably have to have one that fit them.
That's exactly right. So they have, so we have multiple costumes of each thing out there because everybody needs their own, and they need a backup because we're in the middle of the ocean, and when something breaks, we got to fix it. But we have 4 dedicated costume technicians on board the ship, and then I have all of the youth activities counselors. So we have the largest youth activities program anywhere at sea. So by dedicated counselors. We have over 60 counselors on the ship taking care of the kids all day long. And then we have the largest square footage devoted to kids on board than any other cruise line. Then we have all of our lifeguards. Disney Cruise Line was the first cruise line to
And they're underneath you too on the entertainment side?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And our lifeguards oversee our attractions too. So we have water slides and features like that on board the ship. So our lifeguards oversee that, and they oversee the pools. And Disney Cruise Line was the first cruise line to have full-time lifeguards on board their ships. And then we have our Port Adventures program. A lot of cruise lines call it shore excursions.
Right.
So Port Adventures falls under entertainment on Disney Cruise Lines because those are stories that we get to tell ashore when guests want to go see a castle, or they want to go have an adventure, or take a zip line, or go to the beach, depending on the itinerary. So singers and dancers, performers, musicians, crew staff, bingo, all of the entertainment on board the ship, all the youth activities, all the technicians that make all of that possible, and then our port adventures and lifeguards. So 220 entertainment
I
staff.
can't imagine anyone has one job that works for you. It seems like everyone that works for you has got that to be able to do 3 or 4 things, whether they get pulled on stage to entertain with you, or maybe they're a lifeguard during the day and they're a singer or dancer.
That's a great question, and it's
that's 2 so far, Eli.
yeah,
I've had 2 great questions.
But because that's a question I get a lot on the ship, because space is at a premium.
Yeah.
No matter how big your ship is, every square inch is important, and every square inch of the ship is used. However, so I danced for Carnival Cruise Line back in 1993. My first job away from home was on a cruise ship. And on that ship, I had multiple jobs. I was a dancer and an acrobat in the shows. And during the day, I was calling bingo, and I was, doing port adventures. I was doing everything.
Right.
But Disney wants to get the highest caliber talent possible to provide these experiences. And so we're not going to get the best singers and dancers if you make them do anything else. I went to college for this. I went to Broadway for this. So
I'm not slinging drinks.
I'm not slinging drinks. Yeah.
And wiping tables.
Right. So our youth activities counselors, who must have an impressive resume to work for Disney in the middle of the ocean.
Right.
That's what they need to do. That's what they need to focus on. And that's the kind of talent we need to have in order to provide the level of experience we want to provide. Our technicians, same thing. They went to school for this. They are experts. When something breaks, they have to fix it, because we can't call anybody to do that until we get back into port. So a lot of our team across the board in hotel and in marine and technical operations, they are all experts in their field. So that bartender working in the hyperspace lounge, you may see them also serving drinks on Castaway Key, but they're serving drinks because they have to be good.
They're not doubling as Elsa,
right?
At this 8:00 show.
Yeah. So our singers and dancers, that's what they do. They sing and dance. Our musicians, tell you what, if you want a great gig, become a musician on a cruise ship, because that's what they do.
Do y'all look at yourself as like a floating hotel, and in the hotel you have the captain and whatever that portion was, and you got the hotel side, which is food and beverage and turning the rooms and sheets and that kind of stuff and housekeeping, and then you're on the entertainment side? Are there kind of 3 levels there? Are those the kind of how the organizational chart, for lack of a better understanding, would be on a cruise ship?
Yeah, so cruise ships are set up differently, but for Disney, we're an entertainment company that has cruise ships.
Okay.
All the other cruise lines are cruise ships that happen to have entertainment. So we have a bit of a different setup.
It's a different mindset, though, how you approach your job and how you approach your clients and your customers.
100%, because first and foremost, we're an entertainment company. We have stories and characters, and we have IP that our guests know before they even get here. So when you go on to another cruise line, they have stories and they have shows, but you don't know what you're going to get until you get there. So the hierarchy, I sit on the steering committee of the ship that I'm on. So the captain is the master of the vessel, is everybody's boss.
Right.
And then, so our steering committee is made up of the staff captain, who oversees the deck operations, the chief engineer, who oversees all the engineering operations, manager of human resources, who helps take care of all the crew, our hotel director, who oversees food and beverage, guest services, housekeeping, just like you had mentioned, and then myself, the cruise director, who oversees entertainment. Now, on every other cruise line in the world, the cruise director reports to the hotel director and is a part of the hotel department.
But you got an equal seat at the table as a Disney cruise.
So, that's right. So,
and that shows you how the importance that Disney puts on the entertainment factor. But I just picked up on it. It's because so many people already know what the Disney entertainment is, who the characters are. So you have to be true. Your whole crew has to be true to those entertainers.
Yes.
Because they're not coming on and saying, "Hey, this is a, XYZ cruise, and different group next time. People there see Disney stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Disney entertainment.
These are stories that they know, that they've grown up with. They can sing every note and every word of every song we perform for them. So, we have to hold it in high regard. We have to keep it up on that pedestal, and we have to match everything that they have thought it was going to be.
Right.
They can see Frozen on Broadway. They can see Aladdin on Broadway. And when they come to our shows on the ship, it better be just as good.
Yeah.
So,
how many employees, I'm not sure what y'all call yourself as Disney folks, that staff, whatever, how many have to be on your ship to be able to give people the Disney experience, from entertainment to hotel, motel, food, beverage, engineering?
1,500. And we have 1,500 crew members on board the Disney Wish.
And how many typical cruise guests would that accommodate?
On the Disney Wish, we usually have about 3,800 to 4,000 guests on board.
So it's about 2.5 guests per
Yeah.
staff person.
Yep.
That's a pretty good ratio. That's
Yep.
taking care of the clients and taking care of the customers and the guests.
Yes. And we've rethought how we do that. So one of the things that we're known for and that our guests constantly tell us they love is this concept of rotational dining. So we have amazing restaurants on board the ship, and each one is a different experience, and each one is a different story and a different menu. And so you rotate through the different restaurants, but your servers follow you from night to night through the different restaurants.
So they get to know you,
So
and you
they
get to know them,
you.
and
Yeah.
they create that relationship as well.
So there's a Diet Coke waiting for you on the table before you even get there. Your kids have crayons. Like they cut up your kids' meat because they know that mom has to do it all the time. So they really get to cater that dining experience.
Wow.
And so by the end of the cruise, I'm not kidding. By the end of the cruise, people are crying because they're leaving.
Yeah.
Their servers.
You touch their lives so much. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is the epitome of the Disney experience, is that you have created, your whole team, the whole crew has created that experience. And it's not just the server or the entertainment. It's everybody.
And that's why that server or assistant server that are helping you in the restaurants night after night, you might see them at breakfast, but they're still being a server.
Right.
They're not a part of our custodial team. They're not a part of our deck team who is mopping the ship.
Right.
They have to be great servers
Yeah.
because they hold so much experience. They hold so much of the experience in their hands because you're with them every single night in our restaurants.
So I just saw something that, and I think AAA put it out, that in 2025, they're estimating they're going to have about 19 million people who take cruises, guests, cruisers, whatever. A few years ago, the industry and the whole world went through some change, and have y'all kind of rebounded back to, to pre-COVID numbers? I don't want to say the word, but
No, yeah.
have y'all kind of rebounded back to where you were, or even exceeded that?
Yes, absolutely. And in the industry, not just Disney.
The whole industry, not just Disney.
And you look at, there's so much optimism and there's so much demand in the cruise industry. If you look at the order book, which is the term used for how many cruise ships are currently under construction or at least bought, it's tremendous. Royal Caribbean is not stopping building.
Right.
They are building some of the biggest ships at a very quick clip. MSC Cruise Line is really coming to the United States. They're building ship after ship. I think they've got one every 6 months for the next 7 years or
Wow.
something. Carnival is building. Disney Cruise Line currently, as of today, has 6 ships. At the end of this year, we'll have 8. We're launching 2 new ships this year.
33% increase.
Yeah, and then by 2030, we're going to have 13 ships. So the demand is there. Cruising is unlike any other vacation.
And these are ships that are built just for Disney. This is not something you're repurposing from somewhere else. It's, hey,
Correct.
the engineers get to do their part, but entertainment gets to weigh in and say, this is what we need for a stage, or this is what we need
Yes.
to entertain our guests.
Yeah. And what's great is being a part of that process. Mayor Wharf Shipyard builds Disney ships over in Germany. And the Imagineers that work for Disney built an office right there in their shipyard because we are designers, we are architects. And yes, they need to build it, but Imagineers have been building hotels and resorts and
Right.
theme parks all over the world. And so there's a bit of experience there. But even the Imagineers coming to us in the entertainment department, knowing we're producing a show in the theater, So we've really stepped up this is just an example of how we partner together. We've stepped up our game when it comes to image mapping and projecting images along the walls of the theater so the show really feels immersive. And the Imagineers were like, well, what do you need in here to make those images pop? So we rented out a ballroom over at the Contemporary Resort, and we hung fabric after fabric, color after color, and just did projection tests on all of these fabrics. And we went to Imagineering and said, this is the fabric and this is the color that works best for us.
Wow.
And they went, okay, we'll design the theater around that. So.
That's smart on their part to
Yeah.
say, you've got to deliver the experience.
Yeah.
Let me give you input while you're creating it so that we're all on the same team.
Yeah.
Again, I've never been on a cruise. My daughter just got back from a Disney cruise about a month ago when you and I first started talking about scheduling you to come on, and they had a ball.
Good.
She went with her husband, Jonathan, and their 2 boys, and the pictures were just a lot of fun to look at, and they had a great time. When you book, our Disney cruises, are they all inclusive? So every Disney cruise is you pay one fee, and then you don't have to worry about pulling your wallet out if you want an extra Coke or some extra French fries or something. Is that kind of how it works?
Yes, we do provide opportunities for you to spend more once you get on board.
Yep.
But yes, you can theoretically book your cruise, pay for it, and then not reach for your wallet ever again.
Right. But there could be upgrades or souvenirs, obviously.
Correct.
There are excursions that
Yes.
whether you pay for them up front or you pay for them as you go.
Yeah,
But
we have adult-only restaurants on board the ship that are second to none. You know, Chef Arnaud, 3-star Michelin chef, he helped create Enchanté, which is an adult-only restaurant. That's a paid-for experience. If you have all of your free restaurants downstairs, you'll have an incredible time at our Marvel restaurant or our Frozen restaurant or 1923. You know, so we have all these different experiences. But if you want to have an adult-only upscale experience, you can pay for that experience.
okay. Do y'all have any gambling on Disney cruise ships?
We do not.
Okay.
We do not. Which was a huge, huge decision for Michael Eisner when he created the company. But because we're the only cruise line that doesn't.
I was going to say, Disney just doesn't have the image of, hey, come on here and booze it up and gamble it up and
Right.
leave that to the others that want to do that.
Yeah.
Yours are family oriented. Do you have a lot of people that come on without kids?
Yes. Yeah, we have adult exclusive entertainment. We have adult exclusive bars and lounges and restaurants. And we have just adults who love Disney.
Yeah.
And so we have cruises that skew more towards adults. And then we have, probably, I would say at least 30% of a typical cruise is adults only.
Okay.
But then when you do a 14-night Panama Canal cruise, for example, those are mostly adults. We have very few children on those
That's
cruises.
a long time for a kid to
It's
be on a
a
boat.
long time, and then kids are in school.
Right.
So, and then we have, 15-night Hawaii cruises we do. We have trans-Pacific cruises where we go from Hawaii to Australia. So those longer cruises skew more adult, which is really fun for me as a cruise
Right.
director because then I can program that with different kinds of entertainment. So
Right.
I can go into the vaults and pull up Alfred Hitchcock movies and put those in the movie theater, or I can pull up, just entertainment that skews more adult.
It's not for 4-year-olds.
It's not for
and
4-year-olds.
6-year-olds.
Yeah, and we bring on speakers, whether they're a Disney movie director or animator, or maybe they're an Alaskan naturalist, or they talk about the Panama Canal. So we can bring in more of those speakers and educational things that adults are more prone to than kids might not find interesting. So it's really fun.
Let me ask you a couple of trade secret. What's the best bargain if you want to take your whole family along? Do you buy them 6 months, like airline seats? You
Yeah.
buy them enough time out front, you get a deal? Or do you just always look for coupons? Do you look for specials? Do y'all run specials?
Yeah.
I know you got a rewards program that we talked about.
Yeah, we have a loyalty program.
Loyalty
So
program,
the
sorry.
more you come back, there are more benefits that get extended to you, and and it's a lot like the airlines. If you book far out, you get rewarded for that.
Okay.
Far enough out, that's great. Once demand increases, then price starts to increase. But then I'll let you know, if you're a Florida resident and you can make a last minute decision in the whole cruising industry, because we have Royal and Norwegian and Carnival and Virgin and Disney all sailing within Florida, if you can drive down to the port in a couple of days, you can get a great last minute deal. So
sometimes hard to do with kids, but if if your kids are flexible.
Yeah, but in the whole industry. So if it's just a couple, and they want to jump on a Royal Caribbean ship for 4 nights, and if you're flexible enough, you can wait to the last minute and decide in under 2-3 weeks, you can get a great last minute discount.
Well, I mean, the sunk costs are already there once you pull out from port. Yep. So if you can add another room or 10 more room guests and fill them up, then that's a great thing.
Disney doesn't run discounts. Our cruise line is pretty small, and our brand is pretty big. So we're typically full. The one exception to that is in the softer times, we'll give discounts to Disney cast members at Walt Disney World.
Okay.
But we don't offer too many discounts for our cruise.
So where all do y'all cruise out of? I know my daughter and you, I think, go out of Port Canaveral. Is that correct? That's where she went out of. I heard you have an Alaskan cruise, a Disney Alaskan cruise.
Yeah. So currently we sail out of Port Canaveral. We got a couple ships there, and we sail out of Fort Lauderdale. We have a couple ships down there. We also have the Disney Fantasy over in the Mediterranean right now. I believe she's in Southampton right now, but she sails out of a couple different ports up in England and France and Italy, and she does the Mediterranean and Baltic. The Disney Wonder sails out of Vancouver and visits Alaska during the summer, and then she repositions to Australia, and she'll sail out of Sydney, and the Disney Magic will sail out of Galveston, and that will be her home port for a while. And then as our new ships come online, Josh DeMauro, our chairman, and Bob Iger, they make these decisions, strategic planning these ships, and the president of Disney Cruise Line as well. How do we strategically place these ships around the world? Because you think soon we're going to have 13 ships. So one of the things that we're looking at is possibly sending those ships to places that don't have a Disney park nearby, like Australia, like the Mediterranean.
Which still bring that Disney experience for the guests that are over there if they may not have the ability to get to a park. We're spoiled here.
Yeah.
We're 45 minutes to an hour from Disney and all the other theme parks.
Yeah.
So.
And Disney has two private destinations of their own that our ships go to. So we'll always have a place in Florida because that land and sea package is very popular. People go to Walt Disney World for 4 days and they come on a cruise for 3 days, or vice versa, or they spend 7 nights. So going to our private island in the Bahamas we'll never leave there. It's our highest rated port of call.
Hey podcasters, if you're looking to elevate your organization's leadership, strategy, and teamwork, please look no further than Two Blue Aces. Founded by a team of military senior officers with over 200 years of combined leadership experience, they deliver executive-level consulting, targeted seminars, keynote addresses, and customized business development strategies. Their one-on-one mentorship and strategic assessments are grounded in real-world decision-making under pressures and have helped companies transform succession planning, team performance, and executive vision. It's rare to access this level of insight outside the military, and I've seen firsthand the impact it can make. To learn more or to connect with their team, please visit twoblueaces.com or call 863-223-2554. How do you score dinner at the captain's table?
So you don't.
You don't? Okay.
On a Disney ship, you don't. So we don't have a captain's table on a Disney ship. It would exclude too many people, and that's not something that we want to do. On other cruise lines that I've been a part of, you got to be in the royal suites. You got to be in the presidential suites and be in the concierge sections, and or be a high-ranking person on a loyalty program. So if you've been on a Royal Caribbean ship 50 times and you're in the royal suite, then you might score a captain's table.
Okay. You've mentioned loyalty program a couple of times. What person has taken the most cruises that you're aware of, that a Disney cruise?
Disney cruise. So we have a couple. They have sailed. The last time I was on, I don't know if they've been on since I've been on break, but she had just celebrated her 170th Disney cruise.
And you've been on break for like 4 weeks now, so she might have done 1 or 2 or 3 more.
She might have. But then you think, we've only been in business since 1998.
Right.
So she's cruising she's cruising. And the crew know her by name. We know what drink she wants. We know what cabin she wants. We know what she wants to eat for dinner. You know, I mean,
does she travel by herself, or does she have family or husband or
her husband,
friends?
Yeah, her husband recently passed away. So they were both, you know, avid cruisers, and she has come back to Disney Cruise Line and come back to sail with the crew. As sweet as this is, because we're her second family, as she's mentioned a couple of times. We've been with her and her husband for so long that now that her husband has passed, she comes back here to kind of celebrate.
She's probably got better sea legs than land legs. The way you have that many cruises, that's amazing.
She sure does.
That's wonderful. Does your family ever get to go on a cruise with you?
Oh yeah, my wife wouldn't let me have this job if she couldn't cruise.
So she and the boys enjoy it as well.
Yeah, when my oldest was little, when he was our only one, my wife and him, we had a crib in my room, and she would spend a month on the ship with me at a time and come home and pay bills and do the laundry, and then she'd come back on board for another month. And now that the boys are older in school, you know, he's a junior at George Jenkins and my youngest one's a fifth grader at Southwest Elementary. They'll come on, you know, when they have a school break, you know, when they get Martin Luther King Day off and they have a long weekend or something, then they'll hop on the ship with me and sail. So they come out. I'm on the ship for 10 weeks, and they'll probably sail 3 times over those 10 weeks.
That way you can still see your family, too.
And then during the summer, they'll stay on for, you know, 2 weeks at a time and just hang out and go to the beach and, you know, watch movies.
Do you ever put your wife at work, or is she like,
that's illegal.
Hey, I am just a guest here. I want you to bring me a drink and you to give me a massage. And that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
She's a guest and nothing else. Good for her.
Yeah, she's a guest.
Good for her.
Yeah. And that's what's extraordinary, and probably why I've lasted so long with Disney Cruise Line, because they've treated me so well, and they've allowed me to advance my career and to grow with the company, but they've also allowed me to have a family and not be too separated from my family.
Yeah. Because I don't know if we said it, but you're 10 weeks on, 10 weeks off.
Yep.
So, you know, you bust your rear end for 10 weeks, but then you get to be a full-time dad, husband, take him to school.
That's right.
Do everything.
Go to his golf tournaments, take him to soccer practice. Yeah, I'm there for everything for 10 weeks.
Wait, didn't he have a golf tournament last Friday?
Yes. Yeah.
How did he do?
Yeah, he did all right.
Did okay?
He did all right. And then they had the George Jenkins Invitational on Monday, and there was about 120 kids out there from Central Florida.
Okay.
And he was 5th. So
5th out of 150?
120, yeah. And he played really bad. So he was so disappointed.
That may be a scholarship opportunity there.
Yeah, we're hoping.
We're
hoping, yeah.
How you talked about the entertainment portion and performing at sea. How difficult is it to perform as, I don't know how far the ship rocks, maybe 1 foot rocking may translate into a huge pitch and yaw. But I would assume if you're aerial acrobatics, you have to have calm seas. The captain's got to turn it just right to minimize that.
Yeah. So it varies. Typically in the Bahamas and the Caribbean, you know, not too bad. And then even sailing in Alaska, going through the inside passage up there, you're surrounded. So it's pretty good. You know, getting out into the Atlantic, transatlantic, transpacific, and even some of the hurricane seasons that we have. You know, that's the nice thing about being in a floating hotel, is the captain can just take us somewhere else. You know, last year we had a 4-night cruise turn into a 6-night cruise because the Coast Guard shut down Florida. No ships could come back.
Right.
So people got 2 extra days. But so the ships do rock. And to be honest, if it's rocking that much, we cancel the show, because there's no way you're going to sit there and watch it, because you're going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That happens very infrequently. But the performers, they're dancing and they're moving and they're jumping, and so they don't feel it as much as you, who are just sitting there watching everything sway. They do have to be on their toes. They do have to, you know,
if they're jumping, they've got to say, it'll take me this long for my toes to hit the ground, and
it's not there.
Yeah, it's not there, or it's there early.
And we have quite a few acrobats in our shows, and so understanding what the modifications are for when the ship is rocking, because the ship is either going to come up and meet you before you expect to land, or it's not going to be there and you're going to over rotate. But then we have very elaborate sets on our ship. So if they're standing on Pride Rock during the Lion King moment, is that really where we want them to stand when the ship is swaying? You know, so, and we have thought through all of those contingencies, and we have, you know, a mountain of contingencies to but it is, but guests feel it more than the dancers do.
Okay. So when you have outside entertainment that may come on, have you ever had them freak out the first time the ship did something and they're all of a sudden it's like, whoa, where did this come from? And hey, all of a sudden they start doing crowd work instead of telling real jokes or singing different songs or whatever.
Yes. So yeah, we've had magicians come on
My
board.
cymbal used to be over there and it's on the ground now.
We've had great magicians come on board the ship, and and we have had some amazing magicians who have never done a ship before, and they're like, I will never do a ship, but because it's Disney, I'll do that ship. And so they come on board and they don't lock the wheels to their crate, right? And their crate starts to roll away. Or, they just feel like they can't set up a trick because the rocking of the ship or the motion of the ship might, cause something to close or open before it should. So then they find themselves pivoting in the middle of the show. So some of the performers, it is something that you have to get used to.
I would think that the first time would be a little unnerving, but like you said, you adjust. You're a professional. You may not fly quite as far. You may get a little closer to your prop or something.
Yeah, I mean, we don't hire beginners to entertain our crowds anyway.
Right.
So, but it is
no open mic night on Friday night or anything.
No way, not on a Disney ship.
Does each ship make their own fresh water?
Yes, sir.
100% of, or they fill up when they leave port and they
So we'll
desalinate on the way.
Yeah, we'll bunker water.
Okay.
But with 4,000 guests, taking showers, drinking, cooking, everything that we cleaning the ship, we use that water pretty quickly. So we have a reverse osmosis system on board all of our ships, and we make all that water. And I'll tell you, the water on any cruise ship that you go to anywhere in the world, any Carnival, Royal, Norwegian, anybody has cleaner water than any city in the United States. The water that we're making on board ships is amazing.
You had just mentioned that the hurricanes came through last year and your 4-day turned into a 6-day.
Yeah.
Do you just normally have 2 extra days of provisions, or does the chef say, I got to stretch this? Or you say, hey, we're going to go to this island and this is a backup plan and we're going to load up more provisions for the next 2 days till we can get these folks home?
Yeah, we typically have provisions that will last us longer than any cruise. We'll always have more fuel. We can always make more water. Those things are never an issue. Food and some of those resources, we always have more than we need just in case this happens. And especially like when this instance happened, when the guests boarded the ship, we told them that day, hey, if you can't sail past Friday, please disembark now, because there is a chance, this was Monday when the cruise started. There is a chance we might not make it back on Friday due to the storm system that's out there that I'm sure you all heard about. So we also knew it was an opportunity, so we planned accordingly.
Have you ever ridden through a hurricane?
No, sir.
Or they typically say, hey, this is way out here. We're going to either go to port or go way around it.
Yeah, we've gone way around it. Now, when the Disney Fantasy came out, I was in the shipyard with her, and we brought her across before any guests were on board, and we were doing sea trials, and we were crossing the northern Atlantic. And we weren't in a hurricane, but man, those were some waves. And we wouldn't have taken that route had there been guests on board, but we needed to get to New York for our christening, and that was something special.
Nordic men are real men.
Oh, indeed they are.
How many times have you crossed the Atlantic on a ship? Or was that
quite a few?
Quite a few?
Yeah, gone over to the Mediterranean
Okay.
and sailed over there, and then the ships that come out of Germany when they're built. So it's pretty spectacular.
How do you tell if you're on a good cruise ship or you're not? I mean, what if I walk on, not this, just in cruise industry in general, I walk on and say, this doesn't seem right, or something smells, or there's a lot of chip paint. Maybe they're not a good maintenance program.
Yeah. And I would say that's probably your first instinct is right, is the maintenance and the cleanliness of the ship. I mean, if you see something spilt and it's not cleaned up right away, or if you see something that's maybe obviously been there for a while, and there's always going to be guests who are on vacation and they're just going to leave their stuff wherever they want to because their brains are on vacation mode. And frankly, we're here to serve them anyway. Right. So yeah, leave your tray there. Somebody will get it. But the cleanliness of a ship will tell you how well it is run, how well organized.
Lack of attention to detail, but I think it would boil down to.
Yeah, yes.
If you weren't in the cruise business, what would you be doing now? Would you be back on stage telling jokes or dancing, or has your body given out of the dancing?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I'm too broken down, I'm too old. I better be able to tell a joke or sing if you want to be back on stage.
And I think if I wasn't in the cruise industry, I would probably be in Las Vegas or New York or a major entertainment hub. I love hospitality. And what I didn't realize about my dance career was I love serving people. And when I was a dancer, I was serving them by providing them with an escape. I was performing in a show so they could just get away from their woes for an hour or two during the show. I didn't realize it at the time. I've reflected on my life, and now I realize I love being in service of other people. So I would probably be in Las Vegas at one of the resorts where I can provide hospitality and I can provide entertainment as a way of serving people. So, yeah, I don't think I would be on stage anymore. I love growing talent. I love motivating talent. I love motivating young entertainers to do their best, or creatives to write and produce their best, and technicians to give me all they got. So I would love to be in an executive type position, in a leadership position, in a resort where I can inspire people to provide the best service possible.
So let's talk leadership for a minute. You've mentioned that word a few times. You're a leader on your ship. You're on the executive committee or whatever the steering committee is. How do you identify leaders, future leaders? Say, hey, I see some talent in this guy or this gal. Let me figure out a way to nurture them, either give them more responsibility or let me observe them or see how they are under fire, under pressure.
Yeah.
What's your style?
So my style, so Disney has an amazing program for developing leaders and training leaders, but identifying those people to go through the program is the first step.
Correct.
So I think for me, when I'm looking out there, I am seeing people who don't have an issue with their current capacity of work. When they've got it, okay, they can handle this.
Right.
What else can we give them to make them better? What can we task them with or challenge them with to kind of get them thinking about the next step? And if they can handle more workload, then to me, that's the first signal that they're ready for leadership development, when they don't have an issue with the capacity of their work.
You mentioned, does your wife dance?
Yes.
Do y'all enjoy dancing together?
We don't.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Is it different styles, or you say?
No, we just don't. I think maybe because we did it professionally for so long.
She was a professional dancer
Oh,
too.
oh yeah. My wife was a rockette. She was.
Okay.
She trained at American Ballet Theater.
She's one with all the talent in the family.
Oh yeah. And now, so now she choreographs. She's a choreographer, and she does a lot of casting for Disney, and she does a lot of casting for Tokyo Disney. But even at our wedding and at our friends' weddings and in social functions, they're like, oh, here comes Christian and Brandy. I'm sure they're going to dance. Yeah. We're like the last people on the dance floor. Yeah. So we don't do it for recreation.
Well, maybe if I can buy a private lesson from her, I can get Eli over there with her and she can teach him a thing or two 100%. About getting around the dance floor.
Yes.
What style would you like to learn, Eli?
Listen, whenever
what was that stuff that Gene Conrad said? ECW, electric boogaloo?
He listens to EDM music. I don't know if they do dancing for that.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is, but
jumping around.
What's the most common illness on board?
Common illness? Motion sickness.
Motion sickness.
Yeah. And you know what causes motion sickness is your equilibrium doing something different than your eyes are telling you. So people are standing in this grand atrium in this beautiful restaurant, and their body is telling them, you're moving back and forth. And your eyes are saying, no, I'm not. I'm fine. And that's when you start to get sick. And that's why we tell people, go outside and look at the horizon. That way your eyes and your body
get back in sync.
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed it when I've been out deep sea fishing and I felt a little ill. It's like, lay down, just get fresh air, and either close your eyes or, don't panic. It'll probably pass. But
yeah. And if you're on a longer cruise or a longer voyage, just be sick. Go ahead, be sick. Vomit and be done with it. Then go to bed, and you're going to be great the next day.
Good.
Like if you're on a 7-night cruise and that first night you're not feeling well, go be sick, throw up, go to bed, sleep it off.
6 great nights.
And 6 nights later, you'll be great instead of fighting it for 3 or 4 days.
Hey, everybody. This is your host, Todd Dantzler. As most of you know, I'm a partner with Saunders Real Estate and have been a very active and working broker for over 42 years. I have fostered strong relationships throughout the state of Florida, working on properties ranging from agriculture and development land to multifamily, commercial, and industrial projects. If you have any real estate needs at all, please give me a call. I'd love to help. My direct line is 877-2846. Thank you. The accommodations for the crew. You've got a bunch of them, a bunch of crew folks.
Yeah.
Are they all double roomed, or is it like you see on these old Navy ships from World War II where they got 3 cots high and, is it something that's comfortable for them?
Yeah. So, of course, we want to, and every cruise line wants to, retain and bring in the top talent. So crew accommodations are of the utmost importance. So I actually took a Tiger cruise on my brother's aircraft carrier when he was assigned to the Eisenhower. I got to sail on her for 3 nights, and man, we are nothing like the U.S. Navy. We live in a palace compared to what the Navy goes through. So, we fall under the Maritime Labor Convention. MLC 2006 is when it was ratified. And so there are international laws dictating how much square footage must be devoted to the crew and how we house ourselves and, how much recreation space and our dining space and, all those opportunities. So, we are in a ship at sea. They are smaller,
right?
But they are well appointed. The Disney Wish doesn't have any bunk beds.
Right.
We have no more than 2 people to a cabin. Some of the team, depending on your position, your expertise, and how badly that specialized talent is needed, will have their own accommodations. They will have their own quarters. So it varies. It varies.
You go out for a 4-day, 7-day. Are you on, as your crew on 24 hours a day? You've got to have a break. How do y'all deal with that?
Yeah.
You can't work 24 hours. Is there like your assistant, your associate, whoever your number 2 is, does he or she take over when you're down for your time off, or
yes,
you just get your time off when everybody else is sleeping?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So and again,
because of your position in leadership, or just because that's how everybody is?
That's how everybody is. Yeah. So again, there are, the MLC 2006, our Maritime Labor Convention, dictates how many hours we are allowed to work while we're at sea. So in that will vary by department, right? Watchkeepers in the navigational area can work far fewer hours because they're on watch and they're driving the ship.
Right.
But entertainers and hotel staff, we have to have at least 10 hours a day off.
Okay.
And it can be broken up into no more than 2 breaks, and one of those breaks has to be at least 6 hours long. So there's lots of rules to make sure that our crew stay rested so that they can be of service to our guests.
And is that what the HR folks do? Is they make sure that, hey, Christian, you haven't had your break today.
Yes.
You got to take 6 hours so you're fresh for.
Yeah. And even the captain of the ship and myself and the hotel director and the chief engineer, we have to have posted schedules available for auditing purposes at all time to make sure we can show any authority when the U.S. Coast Guard comes on board the ship and does an inspection. If they want to see the captain's schedule, he can pull it and say, here are my breaks. Here's my downtime. But I do work typically about 84 hours a week on board the ship.
Okay.
So,
what's the most exotic place you've ever cruised to?
Oh,
not on a Disney cruise, but just, it sounds like you enjoy cruising anyway.
Yeah.
Or traveling.
Yeah. My wife and I lived in Tokyo for a while, which was stunning. We were there for over a year, which was unbelievable. And so traveling to all the different cities throughout Japan during that year was
Were
fantastic.
your boys born then, or were you just still just a young couple?
Yeah, we weren't even married yet, but
Okay.
we were just traveling. We were dance partners together for years, so we traveled together and we lived there for a while. But I really liked Cartagena. I was really surprised that I did like Cartagena so much. That I only been there a couple of times, but the first time I went there, it very much reminded me of the French Quarter in New Orleans and some of the old castles and forts and the terrain. And I was, maybe because I grew up in the 80s, like I was pretty nervous to go there, but I felt so safe and it felt like so much fun. And I liked Panama. Panama was pretty exotic for me.
Right.
Maybe it's not for a lot of people, but for me it was. And then some of the, the ABC islands down in the Southern Caribbean are just fantastic. And then even over in Jamaica and Aruba, I'm a very
Caribbean
beach guy,
yeah.
So I love a good beach. I love a good Corona on a chair.
What's the most common question you get from first-time cruisers, guests, when they come on? What do the rookies say?
So probably a couple of different categories here. a lot of the questions are some of the ones that you're giving me now. So first-time cruisers, they come on board the ship and they're like, how do you live here? How is this your job?
Yeah.
What did you go to school for? Because it is such a different way of life for so many crew members. I mean, so my position, I'm out 10 weeks on, 10 weeks off. Most of the entertainment staff are 4 months on, 2 months off. And then you're not allowed to work at sea more than 9 months. But most of our front of house staff are, 6 months at sea, 2-3 months at home. So it's this rotation, but this lifestyle, it's a lifestyle choice. It's not just a career choice.
Almost nomadic.
Yeah, but you're leaving your family.
Yeah.
You're leaving your hometown. You're leaving all that stuff behind. So a lot of first-time cruisers are like, what is this? How do you live out here? And then you get the silly questions or, people are on vacation mode. So they tend to ask questions in ways that are just silly, like, does this elevator go up and down? Or does this elevator go to the front of the ship? I get that question a lot, and I think every cruise director in the world gets it.
They must be from Ohio.
Right,
Eli?
I lived in Ohio.
I was born there, not raised.
Directions.
Maybe Connecticut, where Sarah's from.
There you go. They ask about just the operation.
Right.
And then, cruise ships are huge. So there's always a lot of wayfinding questions, which, so I do cruise on other cruise lines and see them all. And I just love how Disney helps subconsciously with wayfinding around the ship.
Yeah.
We use so many different kinds of carpet. It's unbelievable, but it's all there to go, oh, this is red, I'm in the front of the ship, or this is yellow, I'm in the back of the ship or something, depending on the ship.
What's the wildest thing you've ever seen on one of your cruises that you can tell us?
Yeah.
Or any cruise. It doesn't have to be a Disney cruise.
Some of the videos, because the algorithm has found me, right? So when I get on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, because I'm in the cruise industry, I get a lot of crazy cruise videos. So it's amazing what some people will sail through. Like, not all of these are cruise ships, but people are sailing like through storms. And you're like, well, that captain is, they're not thinking straight.
Wait, professional captains with passengers are doing this? It's not just some rodeo?
Yeah, I don't know, but some of the
would tell you you're on the wrong cruise if your captain's saying, "Hey, we can do this."
Yeah,
hold my beer.
Some of the videos out there, but what's one of the reasons? Another one of the reasons I've worked for other cruise lines, but I've been with Disney Cruise Line for over 20 years now, and I don't see too many wild things because we don't have gambling. It's not our clientele. We don't have gambling.
They're not booze cruises.
They're not booze cruises, So we heavily monitor how much people are drinking. We don't want people to overdrink on a Disney ship. You can have a good time. Don't get me wrong. So it was a big dramatic shift when Indy Racing League chartered the ship one year at the end of their season.
Wow.
So they had all their drivers and all of the owners and
their crew.
Okay. And so it was only them. This is on the Disney Wonder. So a ship built for 2,700 people. And there was like 800 on board the ship, and they had it to themselves.
I would have thought they might have picked a different cruise line than a Disney cruise.
Yeah, the family that owns the Indy Racing League are big Disney fans, and Gene Simmons was on board because he had written the anthem for the Indy Racing League that year, and it was over Halloween. So typically the nightclub on board a Disney ship closes about 2 a.m. That it didn't close until about 5 a.m. with those drivers on board. So
how long does it take to turn the ship? I don't know if that's the right word, but you dock.
Yep.
You have to get 4,000 people off, some crew, and maybe not all 4,000 get off, but you got to bring provisions on. You've got to fill up with fuel. You've got to fill up with water. You've got to restock and then get out by a certain time.
Yeah. So that's really fun. And the logistics and the operation are something to be learned. So our guests are off the ship by 9:30 a.m. So all ashore, 9:30. Usually the last people are going about 9:30. Guests
and all their stuff.
And all their stuff.
And all the garbage that was created, all the refuse.
Not necessarily all the garbage, but all the guests and all of their stuff are off the ship. We begin to embark guests at 11:30. So 2 hours later, we have to make sure that 4,000 people are ready to be welcomed and received. That doesn't mean the entire ship is ready, but everything that they're going to see and touch needs to be ready.
Are all the rooms turned
No.
and cleaned? Okay.
So rooms become available like around at 1:30.
Okay.
So even then, from 9:30 to 1:30, we've changed every sheet, every pillowcase. We have sanitized every single room because we're Disney, and there isn't, a procedure that we skip.
Right.
So, yeah, so everything is sanitized, everything is cleaned and ready for them at 1:30 in their rooms. So when they come on board, first thing they want to do is get something to eat. Usually they've been traveling, they've been maybe waiting in the terminal for a little while.
It's 12 or 1 o'clock.
Yes,
it's lunchtime.
it's lunchtime, So we got to make sure that the restaurants are ready to go and they're ready to be received. So 9:30, our guests are off the ship, and at 11:30, we're welcoming them on board. Now, we're still taking on provisions. We start offloading stuff at 7 a.m., and then we leave Port Canaveral, depending on the ship you're on, depending on the itinerary, between 4 and 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So we've got semi-trucks coming and going all day to provide those provisions.
Is there anything, you've been very generous with your time. I've found this fascinating. I wasn't sure, since I'm not a cruise guest, I've never been on one, to really kind of understand what we're going to talk about. I think it's been a lot of fun for me. Is there anything that I haven't mentioned or asked you that you would have said, I can't believe he didn't ask me about this?
I don't know. It's a great question. I love the cruise industry. This has been so much fun. Thank you, Todd. This, some of the stuff anyway, you've never cruised before. And,
Right.
and I get into, I tell people what I do for a living. They're like, oh, I'm not a cruiser. I'm like, okay,
Right.
But it's, at Disney, it's so many vacations all wrapped up into one. You have travel, you have a world-class resort, you have amazing food, you have amazing entertainment offerings, Broadway-style productions, so it's so many vacations all rolled up into one, and it's so much fun. That's why I've been doing it for so long.
I guess I haven't, because I don't really take a lot of vacations, and that's my own personal
That's your problem. Yeah.
demon that I deal with.
Break you with that.
How many people get married? Is it typically, hey, we do 4 weddings per cruise, or if we do 1 per cruise, that's kind of...
Yeah, so I think I get more than any other Disney ship because I'm on the 3 and 4 day.
Right.
So people hop on for their weddings. But generally every cruise,
Really?
Somebody is getting married, and we have some amazing options. Or if you need to pull up the photos of the Disney Wishes atrium, our grand hall, as we call it, because it's the most beautiful place to get married. But then you can get married at Disney's private island of Castaway Cay. And so we have a couple different packages. And yeah,
Does the captain, is it usually the request for the captain to marry him, or do they bring their own preacher or justice of the peace or whoever marries them?
Yeah, so sometimes they bring their own. If
Okay.
they have a family minister that they love, or that's been part of their family, that will happen. But the Bahamian authorities are the ones that marry the guests.
Okay.
So that is a Bahamian regulation, and because we are a Bahamian ship, they're the ones that marry. Now, our captain does do it. I have done it. Some of our officers, do perform those when necessary or when needed,
Right.
but it is a requirement that the Bahamian authorities do that.
Well, I think a challenge should be sent out to Sarah if she's listening, and I'm quite confident that she is, that we're going to the Coronado Springs Hotel for our office retreat in January or February, perhaps in 2027. She needs to have a challenge of getting us on a Disney cruise for 3-4 days. Is that how long the typical cruises are, 3-4 days? Or is that the shortest that you have is 3 or 4 days?
Yes, 3 and 4 day cruises, but
Okay.
we offer 7 night.
I'm not
9
sure
night.
we necessarily want to give her that challenge because she really might deliver it. But it might be a way to get me on the cruise ship.
Yeah, but we have conferences on the
Yeah.
ship. People do book the cruise ships for conferences, for learning and development, for reward packages for the, so our group booking departments would be happy to take your order, Todd.
We need to make sure that you are the cruise director for
100%.
if we can.
You better.
drag
If you go on a
Sarah
ship that
around.
I'm not on, I'm going to be
If
upset.
Sarah books us on a ship that you're not on, I would be mad at Sharon or at Sarah. So, Christiaan, I've had a ball today. Thank you very much. I've learned so much about being on a cruise. Again, my daughter had a ball on it a month or so ago, and her boys had a ball, and husband had a ball. So I think there are like 169 away from the lady who is in first place.
You got to start somewhere.
Well, she works too hard and he works too hard. So they may not get to that number, but they had a ball and they definitely plan on cruising again. So
good.
I'll get her to maybe figure out if she can book it when you're the cruise director and y'all can say hello. I think you would enjoy each other. Eli, did I miss anything?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
This was fun.
Hey,
right.
Thanks. This was fun.
It
Thank
was
you very
fun.
much.
It was good. We never even got to the books that you wrote, so I apologize
That's
for
all right.
that.
That's all.
I do. Quick question: how do you write? Do you write on a computer? Are you longhand? Do you sit down and write the whole thing, or do you get writer's block? How do you?
Yeah, I write on a computer. I write notes longhand, but then I translate those notes and I pound it on a computer. Now the Gentleman's Guide to Knowing a Little Bit About Everything took me about 15 years to write. So
What a great title!
Thank you. I really enjoy this book and these books, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Yeah, it's just a little bit. I love people. I love conversations. I love education. And so just providing little bite-sized nuggets of information about history or, everything I want my son to know. I want my son to represent himself when he grows up in a professional, wonderful way. And so knowing a little bit about how to dress, how to cook, philosophy, religion, politics, just bite-sized conversations. So if he goes to an event, he can talk to his boss about art or about horse racing, whatever it may be. So helping to give gentlemen or give people a guide to having conversations that are much deeper than what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
You can ask somebody, what do you love? Great. I know how to ask questions about what you love. So I write long, but it took me 15 years to write that book because I just found article after article after article and then would translate those into my own words or into the way that I wanted this book to be presented. So I didn't write that overnight. And then my other book, Backstage to Boardroom, I grew up in the theater. And so all of the great leaders that I had were directors and choreographers and producers. And realizing how much that translates into the corporate world about providing vision, holding people accountable, setting expectations, providing notes, and providing guidance. It all translates. And so I wanted to write this book, Backstage to Boardroom, for any kid like me who needs to transition out of the entertainment industry into a corporate job or into any other kind of job. I wrote this book to my younger self, basically. Nice. So I don't know if anybody's ever going to read it, but I certainly enjoyed writing it and putting all of those principles down on paper. So
you got two boys. They've got athletic talent. Apparently, do any of them take after their mom or dad, entertainment talent or dancing talent?
No.
I mean, it's all coordination, I would assume, as you've got to be a very coordinated person. I'm assuming your boys have that coming from you and your wife.
Yeah, but that's the thing I was telling my son's golf coach. I was like, Coach, you got to help me out here. If my kids wanted to be in theater, I could do it all myself.
That's right.
I don't know how to help this guy with golf, so please, what do I need to do to help him?
But the great thing is you can now embarrass them by dancing in front of them because they're not going to want to do that. And it's like, good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Mom and Dad, what are they doing again? So
yes, indeed.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you,
I had
Todd.
a ball. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot about the cruise industry. And if you enjoyed today's episode of Todd's podcast, I hope you'll tune in next time where we have another great guest. It's been a lot of fun here with Christian. Thank you for spending an hour or so with us. And I look forward to putting the challenge force to Sarah to getting us on your cruise in a couple of year and a half and see if we can pull that off. We'll have to make sure the associates and the agents and everybody are
I approve.
Working. You approve? Okay. Well, you're sitting in the devil's triangle with her and Aubrey and Evangelina, so we'll see if we can pull that off. But thank you very much, Christian. Thank you, Eli. And we'll see you next time on Todd's podcast. Thank you for listening to Todd's podcast. This has been your host, Todd Dantzler. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to rate, review, follow, and subscribe to Todd's podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you have any questions for me, suggestions for future guests, or are interested in sponsorship opportunities for our podcast, please just fill out the contact form on my website, todddantzler.com. I look forward to hearing your questions and feedback, and please take care.